Right now at 5, the fight for trans rights in Missouri continues on as the governor of the state threatens lawmakers. Plus, take a look at this. This isn't a technical issue. It is very foggy this morning. We'll talk about that and the additional rain chances coming up. And students and community members in Anderson, Missouri come together to provide meals for those in need.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Chris Warner. We have got some very dense fog across the area, and so with that, we do begin with a traffic alert this morning across the area because of this dense fog. So we're going to take a look at that here in just a moment, and it's not. Let's talk about that traffic alert. Let's take a look at what this looks like. These are different MoDOT cameras across the city of Joplin, and you can't see anything. We got 7th and Garden Grove, 20th and Range Line, 32nd and Range Line, and I-44 and Range Line, and practically zero visibility out there. We're looking at the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh, and you can barely see the road, let alone these vehicles that are coming down the highway. Let's look at the fog map. This is what we're talking about. This is a wide area of very dense fog. You can see zero visibility reported in some areas, and that is exactly what I encountered on my way here. Just about actually missed the driveway into the station because you can't see things until you're right on top of them. So we want to emphasize, if you are out commuting, 1, prepare for your commute to take a longer time. 2, use your fog lights if you have them, and do not use your high beams, even if you don't have fog lights. That will only make the situation worse. Now, very surprising, these are the only dense fog advisories we have right now that run until 10 a.m., and these actually just popped up within the last hour. I would be surprised if we didn't see additional fog advisories. Now, once the fog clears out, which it's going to hang on with us through about 8, 9 o'clock this morning, we'll hang on to cloudy skies. We're going to be a bit warmer today, and then we're going to see showers and a couple of rumbles of thunder as we go into the afternoon and evening hours associated with a cold front that's going to roll through the area. So by about 2 o'clock, starts moving into southeast Kansas. By 7, it's moving a little further east. Here we are at 10, and these will be scattered showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two, and they will go through about 3, 4 o'clock Saturday morning before they exit on out of here. Here's our camera at 7th and Range Line, and as you can see, we're not making it up about this fog. It is very dense, very dangerous out there. 45 in Joplin, south breeze at 3, and as you saw there too, visibility is at 0 right now. We have 40 Pittsburgh, 42 Parsons, 47 Chautauqua, Miami, and 46 Neosho and Carthage. Now, once we get through this fog this morning, again, we'll be mostly cloudy, a little bit warmer into the upper 50s by late morning. We head into the afternoon, we'll start to see those showers returning across the area. We're looking for highs in the mid to upper 60s, so not too bad. And as we head into this evening, another night in the 40s, mid to upper 40s, and that rain will continue with us again until about 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll have more on your full forecast here in a few more minutes. Well, the fight over gender-affirming care for children heats up in Missouri. On Thursday, Missouri's Republican governor says he's ready to force lawmakers to keep working if they do not send him bills putting limits on transgender kids' health care and participation in sports by the session's upcoming end. Parsons' last-minute push comes amid widespread support for those bills in both the GOP-led House and Senate, but disagreement over the best approach. This follows a St. Louis County judge temporarily pushing back the effective date of the rule from Thursday to Monday, but she's considering delaying its effectiveness even longer while a legal challenge to it plays out in court. Kansas lawmakers have enacted what may be the most sweeping transgender bathroom law in the U.S. On Thursday, the Republican-controlled legislature overrode the Governor Laura Kelly's veto of the measure. At least 8 other states have enacted laws preventing transgender people from using restrooms associated with their gender identities, but most of them apply to schools. The Kansas law applies also to locker rooms, prisons, domestic violence shelters, and rape crisis centers. The new law will take effect July the 1st. Authorities charge a Lamar, Missouri man with kidnapping. Prosecutors have charged Matthew Clements with allegedly forcing his ex-girlfriend from her car and kidnapping her in Lamar. Authorities say the crime happened Wednesday morning. Multiple people had called 911 reporting a woman screaming for help. Officers say the woman had minor injuries from the incident. Clements is being held in the Barton County Jail on a no bond warrant. A former Arkansas senator will soon head to federal prison. On Wednesday, a judge in the Western District Court of Missouri sentenced Jeremy Hutchinson, a former Arkansas state senator, to 8 years in federal prison for accepting multiple bribes. Earlier this year, Hutchinson was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months prison for bribery and filing a false tax return in the federal district courts of Arkansas. The sentences will run consecutive. We'll have more details on the case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Coffeyville, Kansas firefighters say they are getting fed up over a dispute with the city. The city of Coffeyville and the fire department have been trying to settle the pay rate for the hazmat team. Last month, the fire chief, Kennedy Ward, was allegedly fired by the city manager over disagreements about double time pay for the hazmat team. After weeks of no comment, during the last city council meeting, city manager Mark Hall addressed the hazmat pay after the fire department walked out of the meeting. Hall said the city will pay the hazmat team on a straight time pay and will pass on the straight time pay reimbursement from the state fire marshal. According to Coffeyville, the hazmat pay contract with the state fire marshal only allows straight time pay for members on the hazmat team. The president of the Coffeyville Fire Union says the department will no longer attend commissioner meetings. Now they are focusing on starting fresh with the next group of county commissioners in 2024.
Now we can't sit back and be quiet. I mean, our honor and integrity, and I mean, it's everything that a firefighter character is off of, he attacked.
This is stemming from incorrect paperwork submitted by an unauthorized firefighter that set the hazmat pay at double time. City manager claims the paperwork was tampered with. However, the fire department and state fire marshal said it was an unintentional mistake. Well, students and community members in Anderson come together to provide meals for those in need. KOAM's Yana Hatala has more.
About 150 students packed meals to fight hunger at McDonald County High School.
We had been looking for a new service project that everybody could participate in, didn't require that the kids put any money in, just come to school and do the service activity.
FFA advisor Emily Hutton says the FFA officers collected $8,000 from the community, businesses, and churches to purchase ingredients for 25,000 meals. The national organization Meals of Hope provided the gear and food to the high school, and what is left is the manpower.
It's a good way to get our community tied in, involve a lot of kids in the school while not taking up too much of their time. This event's only going to last 4 hours today, and so it's kind of quick, it's fast paced. That's why we have music. We've got 3 different assembly lines going. We're trying to get as much done in a little amount of time as we can.
Maggie Pratt, president of the FFA chapter, says this is the biggest way she has contributed to helping other people.
There's an ingredient label on the back of it, and all they have to do is follow the instructions, add a little bit of water, mix it together, heat it up, and then you've got it ready to go.
Hutton says she does this for the youth.
I know that there are kids in our chapter that utilize the backpack program, the MC for Kids trailer, that they need that support and that want to help participate in other community service events, but due to funding issues can't do that. So this is a way that they can still participate.
In Anderson, Janna Haudala, KOAM News.
And Hutton hopes to continue this as a tradition. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Galena heads to Frontenac in hopes of stopping the Raiders' hot streak with a win of its own. We'll have the results in sports. Plus, a 91-year-old man becomes the owner of an Oklahoma bait and tackle store. This makes us kind of curious. Have you ever wanted to own or start a business? Have you that question a little later. And adults smoking cigarettes has now hit an all-time low. This is according to a new survey by the CDC. On the latest on that, you're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Well, the Frontenac Raiders have been one of the best baseball teams in the state so far this season. The Raiders are 11-0, and they've been dominant pretty much all the way through. Frontenac is scoring 9 runs per game, and they already have 4 shutout wins. The Raiders aim to stay rolling, hosting a CNC doubleheader against Galena. In Game 1, Alex Williams on the mound for Frontenac. It's the swing and the miss in the bottom of the first. In the top of the first, rather. Now to the bottom of the inning. Logan Myers on first for the Raiders, takes off and gets the steal. Myers in scoring position. Moments later, He's on third for Mario Mangini, sends the first pitch he sees into left. Myers scores and Frontenac goes up 1-0. It's a low-scoring game in Game 1, but the Raiders win 3-1. So in Game 2, the Raiders try to complete the sweep, and they get it done in that one 11-1. So Frontenac now 13-0 this season, and back on the field Monday on the road against Colgan. Riverton High School basketball standout Jamie Richardson signs to play college basketball. Richardson is headed to Coffeyville Community College. He's an all-state player and a multiple-time All-CNC pick, including being a unanimous first-team all-conference selection this season. He also topped the 1,000-point mark in his high school career. Here he is on joining the Red Ravens and head coach Jay Herkelman.
They were really straight up with me. Told me what I needed to work on, just everything. And he's very successful at what he's done. So, the success really stood out to me, and how much success he's had really set him apart from other coaches.
Well, still to come, the governing body for U.S. boxing ends a decades-long relationship. We're going to take a look at that foggy forecast and the rain that's on the way when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We begin with a traffic alert for virtually the entire area, and this is why. This is a look at MoDOT cameras around the Joplin area, and as you can see, it's pretty much zero visibility. We've got 7th and Garden Grove, 20th and Rangeline, 32nd and Rangeline, and I-44 and Rangeline. And here's the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. You can kind of make out some of the line on the road there, but otherwise visibility is pretty much at zero across the area. You can see it's very low or at zero in some locations, and this dense fog is over a wide part of the region. So some things to remember. First, if you've got your fog lights, make sure you use them. If you don't use your high beams. That only makes the situation worse. On top of that, you're going to need to expect your morning commute to take a little bit longer, as this fog is expected to last through at least 9 o'clock this morning. Surprisingly, these are the only dense fog advisories that we actually have out there. They all run through 10 o'clock, but I would be surprised if we didn't see additional ones through the morning hours. Outside of the fog, once that clears out, we'll have cloudy skies. We're going to be a bit warmer today. And as we head into the afternoon, we're going to start to see a few scattered showers, maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder, and these will roll through with us through the evening hours and into the overnight before they eventually start to clear out, say around 3, 4 o'clock on Saturday morning, and that'll leave us partly cloudy for our Saturday. Very foggy, 7th and Rangeline, 45 in Joplin right now, still reporting zero visibility. South breeze at 3 miles an hour. Across the area, outside of the fog, we've got 41 Iola, 42 Chinook, Parsons, Neodesha, 47 Chatopa, Miami, 46 Neosho and Carthage. So again, fog expected to hold on through 9 o'clock this morning, and then we'll have mostly cloudy skies, upper 50s by late morning. Into the afternoon, mid to upper 60s across the area. Then those showers will start building in, and again, they'll run with us through the evening and into the overnight hours. And another chilly evening back into the upper 40s for us across the area. As we look ahead, though, we're going to continue to warm. We've still got a decent weekend in the lower to mid 60s. And then we'll see some shower chances Monday and Tuesday, some storms by next Thursday, but temperatures start returning to normal as we get back into the upper 60s and even the low to mid 70s. Well, a 91-year-old Muskogee man is proving you're never too old to live your dream. He's now the proud owner of a bait and tackle shop. Caitlin Deggs introduces us to him.
Harold Hooper is known as a man who never sits still, but when he wanted to buy an old bait and tackle shop to keep it open, his family members thought he was crazy. When the previous owner couldn't keep the shop anymore, Harold decided to step in and run the place.
This place has been here for 38 years, and this old man, I've known him all my life, and he started this sucker 30-some years ago, and he's kept it up until his health got bad, and I bought him out and took it over.
With the help of some family members, the bait barn has been transformed into Hooper's Bait and Tackle. His granddaughter says it's been a good thing for him.
He's active anyways. I mean, he's always fishing or hunting, or he's at one of the local boomerangs eating. He does stuff with church, or him and Charlie are off doing something together. I mean, he's never ever been just home.
She says Harold, who everybody in town knows as Grandpa, has always been there for anyone who needed it. So this is her family's chance to be there for him.
It's hard not to find somebody that doesn't know who he is, or who hasn't done something with him, or who hasn't worked with him, or who hasn't worked for him, or, you know, I mean, he's always done a lot.
Even though Harold is passionate about all things fishing, it isn't the reason why he bought the shop. He wants to help his great-grandkids go to college debt-free.
I wanted to make sure that she had a way through school and didn't have a debt hanging over half her life. My granddaughter, it took her about 12 years to pay for her student debt, and I didn't want that for my great-granddaughter.
Jessica says she's so thankful to have a grandpa like Harold.
It's really neat. He's a real special person.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Have you ever wanted to own or start a business? Yes or no? We want to hear from you, so make sure you take time to vote at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so through the app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the American Heart Association has named the DASH diet as the best for heart health. DASH stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It aligned 100% with the AHA's goals for heart-healthy eating. Pescatarian diet, which allows for dairy, eggs, fish, and other seafood, came in second with 92%, and the award-winning Mediterranean diet aligned 89%. It came in third, mostly because it recommends a small glass of red wine each day and does not limit salt. According to a new CDC report, roughly 1 in 5 high school students in the U.S. has witnessed violence firsthand among people who are not related. That includes deadly shootings. The report describes community violence as a significant public health concern. Witnessing community violence was found to make teens more likely to carry a gun, engage in substance use, and consider or attempt suicide. Fewer adults are smoking cigarettes, and that's according to new data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. CDC surveyed 27,000 people 18 years or older with the National Health Interview Survey last year. About 11% of adults said they were current cigarette smokers. That's about 1.5% fewer adults than in 2020 and in 2021. It's a significant drop from when the surveys started. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves some extremely dense fog out there. We'll talk about how long this fog is going to stick around and about the incoming rain chances when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, some Crowder College students get to practice their graffiti skills.
We've got a very foggy start to our day for this Friday. Somewhat dangerous conditions out there. We'll talk about that fog and today's rain chances coming up.
The Special Olympics host its annual torch run in Pittsburgh.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:27, almost 5:28. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So a bit of a chilly start for us, but the biggest thing is this incredibly dense fog that's out there right now. And that's why we do have a traffic alert for the entire area because of this fog this morning. We're going to show you what that looks like on a few different cameras around the region. These are 4 different MoDOT cameras at different locations across the Joplin metro area. And as you can see, it is zero visibility on these. You can barely see the headlights of cars when they're approaching. We look at the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. We couldn't see this arrow or this line just 15 minutes ago, but this fog continues to remain very dense across the area and will do so through most of our morning. You can see visibility readings at or very near zero for a good chunk of the 4-state area. This includes a number of major highways. We're talking I-49, 44, 69, 400, 160, any number of these highways. And so if you're driving this morning, a couple of things to keep in mind. One, use your fog lights if you have them. If you don't, do not use your brights. That will only make the driving situation worse for you and for other drivers, and expect your morning commute to take a little bit longer today. You need to really slow down out there. We only have a handful of dense fog advisories right now, and these run through 10 a.m. There may be more later, but we don't need those dense fog advisories to tell you it's extremely foggy. Now, once the fog burns off, which it's going to stick around through about 8, 9 o'clock, we got a cold front that's going to start to bring in some showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon, and then these will continue with us through the evening hours and into the overnight, and very early Saturday morning, and by about 4 a.m. they will be out of here. But we do have the last round of rain chances, at least for this week, on their way this afternoon. 45 in Joplin, obviously foggy, zero visibility, south breeze at about 3 miles an hour. Across the area, we've got 39 in Nevada, 38 Fort Scott, 42 in Parsons, 47 Miami, and 46 in Neosho. So again, that fog sticking with us through about 8, 9 o'clock this morning. It mostly cloudy, a little bit warmer into the upper 50s, and a little warmer today, mid to upper 60s across the area. Get the showers building in here, and then as we head into this evening, the rain continues, and again, it's some much needed rain across the area. We'll drop back down to 49 for our overnight low. The rain clears out tomorrow morning. We'll have a pretty decent weekend, lower to mid 60s and some more sunshine. A few more shower chances Monday and Tuesday next week, but temperatures begin to warm, getting to upper 60s, lower 70s, mid 70s. We see some additional thunderstorm chances by Thursday. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce hosted its 106th annual banquet. It's a chance for the chamber to honor its members and recognize their outstanding achievements and contributions to the community. Some of the awards handed out Thursday night include Young Professional of the Year, the Golden Apple Awards, and Business of the Year. Member of the Pittsburgh Police Department did not let the rain prevent him from keeping an annual tradition alive. Lieutenant Chris Moore ran a torch from the Law Enforcement Center to Kearney Smith Stadium. That torch represents the beginning of a couple of Special Olympics events in Pittsburgh. Lieutenant Moore has been doing the torch run for several years.
Special Olympics in Southeast Kansas is getting bigger and bigger every year. We went from having a few events to now we've got a lot of events, and we're getting ready to host some state competitions in Southeast Kansas, which is going to be pretty amazing because we're going to have athletes from all over the state coming to towns in Southeast Kansas to compete.
Of those events, the Youth Regional Track and Field Competition happened Thursday morning. The Southeast Track and Field event will take place next Wednesday at Erie High School. Well, some Crowder College students got to work on their graffiti skills as part of a school event. The students are putting together a graffiti project on the wall of the LC Plaster Community Center in Neosho. Officials say it lets students exercise their creativity while brightening up the community.
Things like it's tied with more things that I feel like they have experience with. So it's a way to get them somewhat interested in things, allows them to learn the traditional techniques that graffiti artists have used in the past, and it gives them a space to do it where they're not going to get a $600 fine and jail time.
Well, that's good. The students worked on the graffiti wall for 3 hours. A new study shows the number of people homeless in Harrison, Arkansas is on the decline, but some living there don't see it that way. Elizabeth Van Metry reports some locals believe a few asking for handouts are not necessarily needy.
A couple of places in town that I don't go by myself, and definitely don't go after dark just because it's kind of like the hangouts.
Brandy Forkey lives in Harrison and says it seems like there's a large homeless population with several hangout spots.
And you've got like one right here by Murphy's, and then you've got one on this corner, like right in the middle of the road, and then you've got one on this corner by Arby's.
Forkey says the number of homeless seem to have increased, but a new study from the Arkansas Balance of States states otherwise. The data collected in January shows 21 people in Harrison are homeless.
Very encouraged to see these numbers come back in.
Those numbers show 8 of those 21 are chronically homeless, 12 have mental health illness, 12 substance use disorders, and 9 are survivors of domestic violence. William Tollett works with homeless at the House of Hope. He says the numbers are down thanks to COVID-related funding. More homeless are off the street, but more people, panhandlers, seem to be taking over many busy intersections.
Yes, I'm going to say probably less than 15% of those individuals are homeless. The biggest part of those individuals have housing. Over 70% of them have some type of income.
Tollett says it's important people don't give in to the panhandlers.
In Harrison, there are signs going up that actually is going to be discouraging people from giving money, but instead to contact the local charity or give that money to the charity of their choice that actually can work with those individuals.
Many people in the area are asking if any ordinances can be put in place to stop panhandling. The cities can make some rules about panhandlers. For example, they can make it a law you cannot step into the road, but they will not stop it completely. That's because a U.S. Supreme Court decision several years ago made panhandling protected, saying it is free speech. This morning, we're discussing owning a business.
Harold Hooper is known as a man who never sits still, but when he wanted to buy an old bait and tackle shop to keep it open, his family members thought he was crazy. When the previous owner couldn't keep the shop anymore, Harold decided to step in and run the place.
With the help of some family members, the bait barn has been transformed into Hooper's Bait and Tackle. Even though Harold is passionate about all things fishing, it isn't the reason why he bought the shop. He wants to help his great-granddaughters go to college debt-free.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Have you ever wanted to own or start a business? So far, this has been a trend the last 2 or 3 days with these questions. They're starting out as an even split. 50% of you say you do, and 50% of you say, nah, not so much. So make sure you take time to vote. Maybe balance this out a little bit more through our website, through the app, and take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
All right. Well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, a couple who's about to celebrate 75 years of marriage hits an impressive milestone. They both turned 100 years old together.
Plus, the U.S. back to China. From the U.S. back to China, Yaya the panda makes a 16-hour flight to go back home. We'll have the latest.
You're watching KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from a Mural Fest in Miami, Oklahoma. Topping World Watch, 10 policemen and 1 civilian were killed in an attack in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh on Wednesday. That's according to the state's chief minister. The policemen and their driver died in an explosion when they were on their way back from an operation against Maoist militants. It's believed the militants were responsible for the attack, which was also condemned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who sent his condolences to the families of the victims. Ecuadorian officials declare criminal groups operating in the Latin American country as terrorists. President Guillermo Lasso and security officials made their announcement on Thursday in Quito. Their decision comes as Ecuador has faced a slew of recent acts of violence, including several deadly prison clashes and other major incidents. The governing body for boxing in the U.S. has ended a decades-long relationship with the International Boxing Association. This comes after the Russian-led IBA failed to address issues that saw it get banned from the 2020 Olympics. International Olympic Committee cited those issues as related to finance, ethics, governing, and refereeing. USA Boxing said it is ending the relationship because IBA has disregarded its own constitution and failed to prioritize the needs of boxers. The two organizations have been affiliated since 1946. It's a historic change at the Vatican. For the first time, Pope Francis will allow women to participate and vote at a meeting of bishops in October. The gathering is known as Synod. The changes will allow for the participation of 70 non-bishop members. Half of those, the Vatican says, should be women. Delia Gallagher reports from Rome with more on the significance of this move.
Pope Francis's decision to allow women a vote at an upcoming meeting of bishops in October has been called an important step, but not a revolution, by the cardinal in charge of that meeting, Cardinal Hollerich of Luxembourg. The Pope has decided that at this meeting, which involves several hundred bishops, there will also be 70 non-bishop voting participants. Half of them, he says, should be women. He also wants young people included. What these meetings do are they look at recommendations to make to the Pope and they vote on those proposals. Now, this is something that has been going on since 2021 in the Catholic Church all around the world, listening to lay people, that is, people who are not priests and nuns. What are some of their concerns? Those concerns now come to the Vatican in October, and from that, the proposals are made to the Pope. It is something that women's groups within the Catholic Church have been pushing for some time, to have a vote at the table. The Women's Ordination Conference called it a significant crack in the stained glass ceiling. What remains to be seen is just what the proposals will be. The Vatican says that the agenda will be published in May, and then they will go for a month-long meeting this October and again in October of 2024 before they put the proposals before Pope Francis. Delia Gallagher, CNN, Rome.
Well, giant panda Yaya is back in China. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV says the panda landed in Shanghai Thursday after 16 hours of flying. No update on her condition upon arrival. Yaya and her male counterpart Lili had been living at the Memphis Zoo for 2 decades. They were due to return to China this year, but Lili died suddenly in February. There's been speculation of mistreatment after videos surfaced showing Yaya looking skinny. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the pandas were well taken care of. King Charles III, or at least his likeness, will be wearing a fresh new outfit with a brand new wax figure of Queen Camilla at his side, Madame Tussauds in London. The display by the famous museum comes a little more than a week before the royal coronation. The figure of Camilla in a dark blue gown will stand alongside that of her husband, as well as the Prince and Princess of Wales, the late Queen Elizabeth, and her husband, Prince Philip. Researchers in Australia have released some remarkable video of humpback whales. They followed the mammals for more than a year and observed an interesting behavior. These whales are rolling on the seafloor to exfoliate dead skin and remove parasites. Smart thinking. Scientists say it's important to maintain skin health. It also helps feed the ocean, and fish can be seen feeding on what is scraped off. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We're beginning with a traffic alert for pretty much the entire area this morning, and this is why we've got incredibly dense fog continuing right now across the area. Look at different MoDOT cameras around the Joplin area, and you can see it is practically zero visibility out there. We take a look at the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. It's a little clearer than it was earlier, but still very dense fog along just south of the Pittsburgh area. This is what the fog tracker's showing. Still looking at zero visibility. Miami and Joplin, only 0.3 of a mile in Pittsburgh, 0.2 of a mile in Parsons. You can see this is a massive area that's being impacted by this dense fog. So some things that we want you to keep in mind with this dense fog. One, if you've got fog lights, absolutely use them. If you don't, do not substitute with your high beams. That will make it worse for you, and it will make it worse for other drivers on the road. And third, expect your commute to take a little bit longer this morning because even on my drive in, it was a very slow, wet drive, and on some of these county roads, it was hard to even find the entrance to the station because that's how dense this fog is. All right, these just coming down. I figured we'd get some more. We have more dense fog advisories for the region now, including southwest Missouri and a good portion of southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma through at least 10 a.m. Now, once the fog burns off, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, be a little bit warmer, and we have a cold front coming in later this afternoon that'll start to bring us some showers and a couple of thunderstorms here and there. By 7, we get a little bit more of this rain activity, and the best part is we're getting most of this rain activity right where it's needed. And as we continue through the evening, the rain continues to overspread the area, and then it'll start to kind of wind down overnight, and by about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, the rain showers will roll on out of here. Our camera, 7th and range line, I'm telling you, the fog is getting denser here because there's some spots that we could see that we can't now. We're at 44 in Joplin, again, zero visibility, calm winds out there, and with that said, this fog's going to stick around for a minute. 40 in Pittsburgh, Chanute, 42 Parsons, 45 Miami, 46 Neosho, and 43 in Lamar. Again, fog sticking around through about 8, 9 o'clock. Now, some of us will start to see it burn off a little bit before that, but on average, this fog will hang out for a while. Then mostly cloudy, upper 50s by late morning. Heading into the afternoon, we'll be in the mid to upper 60s, so a bit warmer. Showers, a couple thunderstorms start to roll in. Again, a couple of rumbles of thunder possible overnight. Otherwise, just some good rain out there, and we're dropping back into the upper 40s for overnight lows. Once the rain clears out tomorrow, we've got a decent weekend. Partly cloudy skies, mid 60s on Saturday, lower 60s Sunday, sunny. More shower chances Monday and Tuesday, but check out temperatures. They'll start to warm up. Heading toward the mid-70s by Thursday. Thunderstorm chances Thursday and Friday, but we hang on to those mid-70s heading into next weekend. So once we get through a few more of these much-needed rain chances, we'll have another pretty decent weekend ahead of us. But just remember, we have those dense fog advisories, very dense fog. You need to slow down, be safe, take your time where you're getting where you're going. We'll be back with more right after this, but first, here's another live look from Miami.
A husband and wife in Illinois are celebrating turning 100 years young within 2 weeks of each other. And they've got a big anniversary coming up this year, too. Kent Erdahl has the story.
It wasn't your average morning at Main Street Village of Richfield.
The dog over there wonders what's going on.
Yes, service dogs and service members were there to celebrate a milestone so big, it even caught the attention of those in public service.
My name is Mary Suppel. I'm the mayor of Richfield. And on behalf of the city, we wanted to wish you a happy 100th birthday.
Thank you.
After enlisting in the Army during World War II, Barrett Hoagland says he never expected to celebrate a 100th birthday.
I never even dreamed of it, that would ever happen. I was just felt like I was playing lucky that I was alive then.
And now he's feeling even luckier to be joining his wife in the Century Club.
Yeah, that was something we didn't figure on at all.
Retha Hoagland turned 100 exactly 2 weeks earlier.
It doesn't happen very often, I'm sure.
Betty Hastenstab is also sure it couldn't have happened to a better couple.
They deserve it. It's wonderful, but they're just the neatest people.
How long have you been married?
Oh, about 2 years.
Oh, so you're newlyweds then. That's good.
Not exactly. Retha says it really started shortly after the war when she thought she was taking a quick trip to Minnesota.
We had a mutual friend and we met through that friend.
What was it about him that made you want to stick around?
Oh, I don't know. It just worked out that way. I don't remember.
It certainly did work out. The couple was married on August 9th, 1948.
Just what I was looking for.
Meaning in a few months, they'll celebrate another cake-worthy milestone, 75 years of marriage.
Can't believe it.
94-year-old Lorraine Fierro can imagine hitting 100.
I'm 97, so.
So can Phyllis Marks, but 75 years of marriage?
Absolutely not. No.
And if you're wondering their secret, in addition to taking care of themselves, they say they never forgot to take care of each other.
He's pretty patient with me.
They just be kind to each other.
Timeless advice from a truly timeless couple.
Kind of hard to believe it's been this long.
In Richfield.
Evidently it is.
Kent Erdahl.
It means a lot.
The couple does not have kids, but they've done plenty of celebrating with their nephew and extended family over the last 2 weeks of milestones. And as noted, they plan to celebrate their 75th anniversary on August 9th. We'll be right back. The DNA of a famous Siberian husky that inspired a 1995 animated film is offering insight into how genetic diversity has impacted the health of dogs over time. Balto, immortalized as a statue in New York City Central Park, is famous for being part of a dog sled team that delivered a life-saving antitoxin to a remote Alaskan town that was struck by diphtheria back in 1925. Researchers found evidence that Balto's population was genetically healthier than modern breeds and carried gene variants that may have helped the dog survive the extreme environment. They did something right. Well, Las Vegas Metro Police went beyond the call of duty this week to rescue a family of ducks. It happened near the Las Vegas Strip. A concerned citizen alerted the officers after she spotted the mama duck and her 9 ducklings cross the busy road and get stuck. The officers loaded up the family of ducks into a basket and took them to safer surroundings. Thankfully, none of them were hurt in the process. Well, a peacock that escaped from the Bronx Zoo is back home. The peacock, who people in the area named Raoul, flew back to the zoo on his own after spending a day outside the zoo, mostly in a tree in a nearby park. However, Raul did ruffle some feathers. The fire department says he attacked a bystander who suffered a minor injury. The Bronx Zoo says they have around 100 peafowl that roam freely at the zoo's grounds.
Well, once we get through this dense fog this morning, which is expected to hold on through 8, maybe 9 o'clock, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, a little bit warmer this morning, upper 50s, and warmer today as we go into the mid to upper 60s. And by about 2 o'clock or so, an incoming cold front starts to set off a few showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms out there. We'll go into the evening. Rain continues, along with maybe a rumble of thunder or two, and we'll drop back down into the upper 40s. Once the rain clears out, say about 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll have a partly cloudy Saturday, mid 60s, lower 60s Sunday, sunny skies. A few more showers Monday and Tuesday, but as we head into next week, temperatures begin to gradually warm, and we finally start to get closer to normal. We'll be in the mid 70s by Thursday. More storm chances Thursday and Friday, but we still hold on to decent temperatures, partly cloudy by next weekend and lower to mid 70s. We'll be back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, Missouri Governor Mike Parson urges lawmakers to move forward on legislation limiting transgender kids' health care and participation in sports.
And we've got some dangerous travel conditions, very dense fog out there. We'll take a look at this fog and today's rain chances here in just a couple minutes.
And some Crowder College students get to see the writing on the wall as they hone their graffiti skills for good cause.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 o'clock on this finally Friday, but you couldn't tell that it was anything outside because the fog is so dense, and that's why we do begin this morning with a traffic alert for pretty much the entire region, because we are dealing with this very dense fog across the area this morning. So let's take a look. A few MoDOT cameras around the area. You can see 4 different perspectives, 4 different locations in Joplin, and all of them showing the exact same thing. You can barely see anything out there, and it's been like that for a couple hours and is going to remain that way. KDOT camera 69 and 400 showing how dense that fog is out there as well this morning. And this covers a wide area. So let's see how wide of an area it does cover. Here's the fog tracker. We've still got areas at or very near zero visibility, and these darker colors are where the fog is the densest, and you can see it is a significant portion of the area. With that said, we just want to remind you, if you've got fog lights, use them. If you don't substitute with high beams. It makes it worse for you, and it makes it worse for other drivers. The other thing, with this fog sticking around, just make sure you are ready for your commute to last a little bit longer than usual this morning, because you really need to take it easy out there. Dense fog advisories for the counties in this darker gray, all running through 10 a.m. this morning. After we get through the fog, though, we have a cold front out to our west that by about 2 o'clock is going to start to set off a few showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two, and this will continue as we roll into the evening. Again, maybe a rumble of thunder here and there, otherwise just good steady rain, much needed rain continuing for us as we go through the evening and overnight hours, and then by about 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, these showers and thunderstorms are out of here. Our camera, 7th and Range Line, showing how foggy it is. We're at 44 in Joplin, at zero visibility, a calm wind out there. Across the area, we've got 39 Fort Scott, 42 Parsons, 45 in Miami and Neosho, and 44 in Carthage. We get our day started, the fog holding on possibly through 8, 9 o'clock. Some of us will start to see it burn off, but there'll still be a lot of us with some of this dense fog. It's out of here by late morning, mostly cloudy, mid to upper 50s. And as we go into the afternoon, mid to upper 60s for highs. We'll be mostly cloudy until the showers kick in about 2, 3 o'clock and overspread the area. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The fight over gender-affirming care for children heats up in Missouri. On Thursday, Missouri's Republican governor says he's ready to force lawmakers to keep working if they do not send him bills, putting limits on transgender kids' health care and participation in sports by the session's upcoming end. Parsons' last-minute push comes amid widespread support for those bills in both the GOP-led House and Senate, but disagreement over the best approach. This follows a St. Louis County judge temporarily pushing back the effective date of the rule from Thursday to Monday, but she is considering delaying its effectiveness even longer while a legal challenge to it plays out in court. Kansas lawmakers have enacted what may be the most sweeping transgender bathroom law in the U.S. On Thursday, the Republican-controlled legislature overrode the Governor Laura Kelly's veto of the measure. At least 8 other states have enacted laws preventing transgender people from using the restrooms associated with their gender identities, but most of them apply to schools. The Kansas law applies also to locker rooms, prisons, domestic violence shelters, and rape crisis centers. The new law will take effect July 1st. Former Arkansas senator will soon head to federal prison. On Wednesday, a judge in the Western District of Missouri sentenced Jeremy Hutchinson, former Arkansas state senator, to 8 years in federal prison for accepting multiple bribes. Earlier this year, Hutchinson was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months prison for bribery and filing a false tax return in the federal district courts of Arkansas. The sentences will run consecutive. We'll have more details on the history of this case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Authorities charged a Lamar, Missouri man with kidnapping. Prosecutors have charged Matthew Clements with allegedly forcing his ex-girlfriend from her car and kidnapping her in Lamar, Missouri. Authorities say the crime happened Wednesday morning. Multiple people had called 911 reporting a woman screaming for help. Officers say the woman had minor injuries from the incident. Clements is being held in the Barton County Jail on a no bond warrant. Massachusetts Air National Guardsman accused of leaking classified material was in federal court on Thursday. Jack Texiera faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted. Prosecutors say more charges could be coming. Nicole Skenga has details on his court appearance.
Prosecutors asked a federal judge to keep Jack Texiera behind bars pending trial, arguing Thursday that he is a flight risk and poses a risk to national security. The Massachusetts Air National Guardsman is charged under the Espionage Act for allegedly posting secret military information in an online chat room. The government claims not all of it has publicly surfaced and that it would be of tremendous value to hostile nation states that could offer him safe harbor and attempt to facilitate his escape from the United States. Prosecutors say a gun locker was found in Texiera's bedroom along with rifles, AK-style weapons, and a bazooka. The court documents also allege the 21-year-old, who held a top-secret clearance, searched online about recent mass killings and posted disturbing comments saying he wanted to, quote, kill a ton of people. Texiera's defense lawyer highlighted his lack of a criminal history and argued he's not a flight risk.
There's an ongoing investigation which will tell us a lot more.
The Pentagon is reviewing its clearance protocols and says the leak is an isolated incident.
It's important not necessarily to take the actions of one individual and somehow paint a picture that indicates a systemic breakdown.
Court documents show Texiera was suspended in high school for talking about Molotov cocktails, guns, and racial threats. He was arrested earlier this month at his mother's home, where investigators say he tried to cover his tracks by smashing a tablet, laptop, and a gaming console. Nicole Skenga, CBS News.
And Judge David Hennessy says he will rule later if Texiera should stay in jail or be released under certain conditions. Air Force temporarily suspended 2 commanders of Texiera's unit and stripped them of their access to classified systems. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. On Thursday, some Crowder College students worked on their graffiti skills as part of a school event. Students are putting together a graffiti project on the wall of the LC Plaster Community Center in Neosho. Officials say it lets students exercise their creativity while brightening up the community.
Technique-wise, I think there's a lot of things to learn from it. I think that it gets kids into art. It's very much linked with the culture, linked with historically hip hop. Now it's kind of, hype beast, all these kind of things. Like, it's tied with more things that I feel like they have experience with.
The students worked on the graffiti wall for 3 hours. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, celebrating World Immunization Week.
Up to date on your vaccines, I'm Michael George with what you need to know to protect yourself and your children.
Plus, the investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election gets testimony from a potential bombshell witness, former Vice President Mike Pence. And Chris returns with another look at your forecast and when we can expect to peel this blanket of fog from the 4-state area. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back, but first, here's another live look from Mural Fest down in Miami, Oklahoma. Topping Nation Watch this morning, North America's largest transportation network suspended its Twitter for service alerts Thursday, saying the reliability of the platform can no longer be guaranteed. It comes after the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which serves more than 15 million passengers across New York and Connecticut, said their access to Twitter was involuntarily interrupted twice over the last 2 weeks. In a statement, the network added that it does not pay tech platforms to publish service information and has built redundant tools that provide service alerts in real time. A dozen homes were destroyed in Florida Thursday after a tornado touched down in Hosford. That's about 30 miles west of Tallahassee. The tornado also damaged 20 homes. Authorities are now dealing with power outages and urging residents to stay off roads due to debris and downed power lines. One entrapment was reported, but all residents have now been accounted for. No injuries have been reported. Senate is calling for a watchdog probe into the CIA's handling of sexual assault cases. Letter from the Senate Intelligence Committee asks for an immediate investigation into those sexual assault cases. That came on Wednesday. The request comes after the House Intelligence Committee said earlier this month it was investigating the clandestine agency's handling of sexual assault and harassment cases. That probe also comes as multiple female CIA employees said the agency is discouraging women from filing sexual misconduct complaints. Yesterday, the special counsel got his star witness in the investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. CBS News has confirmed that former Vice President Mike Pence testified for several hours at a federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. Jared Hill has more.
Former Vice President Mike Pence's SUV pulled off from a D.C. federal courthouse Thursday evening after he appeared for more than 7 hours in front of a grand jury. That's according to sources with knowledge of his testimony. It's part of Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith's probe into former President Donald Trump and efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
One would think that the special counsel is very close to finishing. This is indeed probably the most significant witness.
His testimony came hours after an appeals court ruled against the former president's emergency request to pause Pence's appearance, citing executive privilege.
I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so.
On January 6th, Pence resisted calls to block congressional certification of the Electoral College as president of the U.S. Senate. Pence cited that role in his own attempt to challenge a subpoena. Last month, a federal judge ruled that Pence is constitutionally protected from questions related to his role in Congress, but that he must still testify about any illegal acts by Trump.
There may be no better witness about what the president knew and was going to do and tried to do than the vice president himself.
Trump was in New Hampshire campaigning yesterday. He's claimed that the special counsel's investigation is politically motivated. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Experts say Pence's testimony could have both legal and political implications, with the former vice president expected to possibly challenge his former boss for the 2024 GOP nomination. Well, check out this video that shows a middle school student jumping into action when a school bus driver had a medical emergency. The incident happened in Warren, Michigan on Wednesday. District said the driver became lightheaded and lost consciousness while driving the students home. 7th grader Dylan Reeves noticed the situation, jumped from his seat and grabbed the wheel and helped it get the bus to a safe stop. He also directed others to call 911. Police and fire crews were able to quickly catch up to the bus to help. Police said no one was hurt. The driver is recovering in the hospital. The district superintendent said Reeves' actions were, quote, an extraordinary act of courage. Let's look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
And take a look at the fog that we are dealing with across the area. You can barely see anything. We'll talk about the dense fog and today's rain chances when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We have been an ongoing traffic alert for virtually the entire area. This is why. This is a look at MoDOT cameras from around the Joplin Metro, 7th and Garden Grove, 20th and Range Line, down here at 32nd and Range Line, and then at I-44 and Range Line. And as you can see, aside from a few peaks of headlights, dense fog across the area. KDOT camera at 69 and 400 showing the same thing. Very dense fog out there, and this dense fog is impacting the entire area. So here's a look at it on the fog tracker. Lots of areas at or very near zero visibility, like Miami, for example, at zero. We have got this dense fog encompassing the majority of the four-state area. As such, some reminders that we're going to keep pressing home with you. If you've got your fog lights, use them. Do not substitute with high beams. That makes it worse for you because it amplifies the fog's luminescence in front of you, and it makes it worse for other drivers because all they see is a bright, blinding light coming right at them. So don't use your high beams. And the other thing, most importantly here too, plan for your morning commute to take longer than usual. You need to take it slow out there. Just my own personal drive into the station here, almost missed a turn to get toward Kansas and almost missed the station itself because couldn't see it until I was right on top of it. That's how dense this fog is. As such, we have dense fog advisories for all these counties in this gray color that run until 10 a.m. But just because you're not under a dense fog advisory, as we just showed you on the fog tracker, does not mean you are not experiencing dense fog. And this is impacting every major highway in the area. I-49, I-44, Highway 60, Highway 54, 69, 160, 400, number of different highways across the area impacted by this dense fog. Now, this fog will eventually clear out of here, and once it does, we'll be left with mostly cloudy skies, a little bit warmer this morning once we get through this, and then by 2 o'clock or so, we got a cold front out to our west. It's going to start to set off an interesting shape of showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms out there, and these will continue to increase in coverage as we head into the evening. Here we are at 7, and they're from Nevada, Lamar, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, back through southeast Kansas, and this will continue. We go into 10 o'clock, now spreading into more of southwest Missouri and northeastern Oklahoma. And again, a rumble of thunder to possible, no stronger severe storms with this activity, just some good, much-needed rain. And the best part is, at least right now, some of the heavier rain expected in the areas that truly need it the most. These showers will start to kind of wind down overnight, and by about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they will be out of here, and that'll leave us with a pretty decent weekend. Our camera, 7th and Range Line. You can barely see anything out there, but you can at least see a little bit. We're at 44 in Joplin, calm breeze, zero visibility out there with this dense fog. Across the region, we got 40 in Fort Scott, Iola, 45 Chinook, 47 Chitopa, 45 Miami, Neosho, and 43 in Carthage and Lamar. Fog expected to hang on through 8, 9 o'clock this morning. Now, some areas may begin to burn off a little quicker, but for the majority of us, still dealing with that dense fog. Once it clears out, upper 50s, mostly cloudy by late morning. Mid to upper 60s for highs today, so a little closer to normal. Showers, a couple rumbles of thunder start to kick in. More of us get in on the shower and possible thunderstorm activity as we head through the evening. Another chilly night, but again, close to normal at least as we drop back into the mid to upper 40s. Once we head into tomorrow and get past this, we're in the mid 60s, partly cloudy for Saturday. Mostly clear skies on Sunday, lower 60s. Temperatures continue to warm as we head through next week, going upper 60s, lower 70s, mid 70s. We've got some shower chances Monday and Tuesday, and then as we head into Thursday and Friday, some additional possible thunderstorm chances. That clears out, and we've got another decent weekend next weekend, but even better with those temperatures. We're talking mid 70s, lower 70s, and partly cloudy skies. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, new findings show a diabetes drug being tested for weight loss is showing promise. Eli Lilly reported that in their study, tirzepatide helped overweight and obese diabetics lose up to 16% of their body weight over 17 months. People without diabetes lost even more weight. The company is applying for fast-track approval from the FDA. Diabetes drug Ozempic has been making headlines recently as many Americans are using the drug off-label for weight loss. New CDC data finds substance use among U.S. high school students declined during the last decade, but vaping increased. The Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Report also found most high schoolers in America do not meet daily recommendations for eating fruits or vegetables or engaging in physical activity. Scientists have successfully engineered a way to extend the lifespan of cells in an effort to slow the aging process. Researchers at the University of California, San Diego genetically rewired the circuit that controls aging in yeast cells, leading to an 82% increase in lifespan. The team is now expanding its research to human cells. And it's World Immunization Week, raising awareness about what federal health officials call the life-saving power of vaccine. Michael George has more.
It's the last week of April, a time when experts want everyone to check that they're up to date on their vaccines. This year's theme is called the Big Catch-Up. The CDC says there's an urgent need for children to catch up on vaccines they missed during the pandemic, so they can be protected against different illnesses, disabilities, even death. Worldwide, 25 million children missed at least one routine vaccine in 2021. 18 million didn't receive any vaccines at all. Disruptions during the COVID pandemic left many children behind on routine immunizations, and vaccine hesitancy still remains a major obstacle. Health experts are concerned as outbreaks increase with vaccine-preventable diseases like the measles and polio. And kids aren't the only ones who need vaccines. For adults, the shingles vaccine is recommended for people over 50 and the pneumonia vaccine for people age 65 and up. Doctors say it's a good idea to see your healthcare provider once a year to make sure you're up to date on vaccines, as well as routine health screenings. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The effectiveness of some vaccines wane over time. For example, a person needs a tetanus booster every 10 years to stay protected. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, and we are continuing with our traffic alert across the area today because of the very dense fog. Again, a look at the MoDOT cameras around Joplin, and you can see it's pretty much zero visibility out there. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. We'll have more on this fog, today's rain chances, and your weekend forecast here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at this fog across the area. We've got these dark gray areas, which is virtually the entire viewing area, reporting very dense fog. We're talking at or very near zero visibility. So we've been reminding you all morning, use your fog lights if you've got them. If you don't, do not substitute with high beams. That does not help the situation. It makes it more dangerous for yourself and other drivers. And make sure you're prepared for your commute to take longer than normal as traffic is moving very slowly, as it should be across the area. We do have the dense fog advisories for these counties in gray through 10 a.m. But again, just because you're not under a dense fog advisory does not mean that you're not going to see some dense fog out there. Once the fog clears about 8, 9 o'clock this morning, we'll have mostly cloudy skies getting to the upper 50s. We have a cold front to our west that'll start to set off some showers, maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder, and this activity will continue to increase in coverage as we head into the evening, late evening, and overnight hours. The good news is no strong or severe storms, but some good amounts of much needed rain. We'll take another look at your forecast right after this.
Right now it's 6:30. The battle over the pay rate for Coffeyville Fire Department's hazmat team heats up. This as the fire department walks out of a city council meeting.
We've got very dense fog across the area this morning, and it is remaining in place through the majority of our morning. We'll tell you how long the fog is going to last and when those rain chances will return coming up.
City of Joplin recognizes some outstanding achievements and some outstanding citizens at the 106th Annual Joplin Chamber of Commerce Banquet.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So not too bad in terms of temperatures, a little bit chilly, but what is fairly bad is the dense fog that has overspread the entire area, and it's making it very dangerous to travel. And because of this dense fog, we do have a traffic alert for virtually the entire area this morning because look at this. These are 4 different MoDOT cameras in the city of Joplin, and you can't see much of anything on any of them. And that's how dense and how dangerous this fog is. KDOT camera at 69 and 400, right near the intersection. It's cleared up just a little bit, but if you look off in the distance, still plenty of dense fog across the region. Here's a look at the fog tracker. All this dark gray is very dense fog. We have a number of locations within this zone reporting at or very near zero visibility. visibility, and it's been this way now for several hours. So with that, we have dense fog advisories for these counties in dark gray through 10 a.m. We want to continue to emphasize, use your fog beams if you have them. Do not substitute with high beams. That makes it worse for you and worse for other drivers. And of course, prepare for your commute to take a little longer than usual this morning. Once the fog burns off, we'll have mostly cloudy skies into the upper 50s. We got a cold front that by this afternoon will start to set off some showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms, and this will continue with us into the evening hours and into the overnight as well. Here we are at 10 o'clock, much needed rainfall, no strong or severe weather, but again, maybe a thunderstorm or two across the area, and then it exits on out of here by about 4 or 5 tomorrow morning. All right, right now in Joplin, 44, you can see very dense fog, calm winds. Look at temperatures across the region real quick. 40 Iola, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 42 Parsons, 45 Miami and Neosho, and 43 in Carthage and Lamar. Fog holding on for most of us through about 8, 9 o'clock this morning. It burns off, mostly cloudy, upper 50s by late morning, and as we head into the afternoon, again, the showers, a couple of thunderstorms start to build in. Temperatures, though, a little bit closer to normal, mid to upper 60s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Coffeyville, Kansas firefighters say they are getting fed up over a dispute with the city. The city of Coffeyville and the fire department have been trying to settle the pay rate for the hazmat team. Last month, the fire chief, Kenny Ward, was allegedly fired by the city manager over disagreements about double time pay for the hazmat team. After weeks of no comment, during the last city council meeting, city manager Mark Hall addressed the hazmat pay after the fire department walked out of the meeting. Hall said the city will pay the hazmat team on a straight time pay and will pass on the straight time pay reimbursement from the state fire marshal. According to Coffeyville, the hazmat pay contract with the state fire marshal only allows for straight time pay for members on the hazmat team. President of the Coffeyville Fire Union says the department will no longer attend commissioner meetings, and they're now focusing on starting fresh with the next group of county commissioners in 2024.
I mean, now we can't sit back and be quiet. I mean, our honor and integrity, and I mean, it's everything that a firefighter character is off of, he attacked.
This is stemming from incorrect paperwork submitted by an unauthorized firefighter that set the hazmat pay at double time. City manager claims the paperwork was tampered with. However, the fire department and state fire marshal said it was an unintentional mistake. The Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce hosted its 106th annual banquet. It's a chance for the chamber to honor its members and recognize their outstanding achievements and contributions to the community. Some of the awards handed out Thursday night include Young Professional of the Year, the Golden Apple Awards, and Business of the Year. On Thursday, McDonald County students helped combat hunger. Volunteers with Meals of Hope and McDonald County FFA students packed 25,000 meals for people in need. Students worked in assembly lines for 1-hour shifts before switching out. They were in charge of packing the meals, weighing them, measuring ingredients, and preparing them for delivery.
I love serving other people. I love putting my time into helping other people if in any way I can, whether that's, community service trash pickup or working a dinner. But doing this, I feel like, it's the biggest way I personally have ever contributed to helping other people.
The meals will be distributed to students in the school and members of the community who are facing food insecurity, as well as food pantries in the area. Member of the Pittsburgh Police Department didn't let the rain prevent him from keeping an annual tradition alive. Lieutenant Chris Moore ran a torch from the Law Enforcement Center to Carney Smith Stadium. That torch represents the beginning of a couple of Special Olympics events in Pittsburgh. Lieutenant Moore has been doing the torch run for several years.
For us as officers, getting able to run the torch to a Special Olympics event is great because we get to see all the smiles, do all the high fives. We get to hang out with the athletes, and then they know that we're there for them. So we're going to support them in their endeavors, and then they support us in ours.
One of those events, the Youth Regional Track and Field Competition, happened Thursday morning. The Southeast Track and Field event takes place next Wednesday at Erie High School. Well, this morning we are discussing owning a business.
Harold Hooper is known as a man who never sits still, but when he wanted to buy an old bait and tackle shop to keep it open, his family members thought he was crazy. When the previous owner couldn't keep the shop anymore, Harold decided to step in and run the place.
With the help of some family members, the bait barn has been transformed into Hooper's Bait and Tackle. And even though Harold is passionate about all things fishing, it isn't the reason why he bought the shop. He wants to help his great-granddaughters go to college debt-free.
Well, it brings us to our question for you this morning. Have you ever wanted to own or start a business? Now, folks, listen, they started voting to get this evened out here. We got 72% of you say that you do, 28% of you say that you don't. So do make sure you take time to vote through our website, through the app, take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
Curious, though, if those answers would be weighted a little different if it was before the pandemic.
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. And, you know, a lot of it also depends on the type of business, too, that
Very true.
you might be interested in owning or opening.
There you go. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Shannon Becker is in studio this morning. He braved the rains to bring us his big 3 stories of the week. And that's how we like to close out the week.
And you can see from the fog on our camera here at the station, it is very dense fog advisories across the area. We'll talk more about that and our later rain chances. But first, we're going to take another live look from Miami.
All right, it is Friday, and that means it's time for Shannon Becker to join us in studio to close out the week with your big 3 stories.
We've got them for you. Big 3 live and local. What's happening where you live? This is a driver going east on 4th Street. Day before yesterday, actually clipped a guy wire to the right of the vehicle. He's driving a little back and forth, witnesses say. Then overturned into First Christian Church, built in 1907. Well, the church sustained some damage, but I mean, nothing structurally. Everybody could still, have church and everything. But driver,
like everything was mainly exterior.
Yeah, it was. It's like an exterior pillar there. Driver was cited for DWI, though, misdemeanor DWI in that crash. Number 2, Joplin News First. Thanks for letting us know what you see. How about a 66-foot tall pillar? It's a new truck stop in Mount Vernon. They're paying homage or paying honor to the Ozark Trails. The Ozark Trails were about 100 years ago, from 1913 to 1926. It predated the Route 66 before the federal government said, hey, let's have some highways. So the Ozark Trail markers is what they were along these roads of private and public roads. Miami had one. It was short-lived because a car crashed into it in 1919. Then they tore it down, which is so crazy. And then Joplin was part of that Ozark Trail. I'm not sure if we had one of those pillars, but the new pillar that they built at the Travel Center in Mount Vernon, they've got a little selfie one in front of the Travel Center. Then this huge 66-foot tall one is out on the road. Is really, really neat to see. You just go to the Mount Vernon 46 exit. You'll see it right there on the south side of the road.
It tells you how many miles to each.
Yeah, to each destination.
You go that direction, how many miles? That's
39,
so cool.
39 miles to Joplin from there. All right.
That's cool.
And then our number 1 story, fire, suspicious. That's what Joplin police are calling it. Century residence burns on North Byers. This was early Sunday morning. A huge residence. Originally it was built as a single home more than 100 years ago, but it had been broken into 6 different apartments. Recently had been bought by an out-of-state person, and they were in the process of remodeling it. Fire started at the back of the residence on the outside, possibly on the stairs. They're still investigating what occurred. The home is a total loss, though. Big loss.
Was it a historic home then?
Not necessarily, but
it was 100
they were
years
working
old.
on it,
Yeah.
to make a nicer dwelling. So the apartments had, like, let's say, plastic inserts for showers. Not very historic, but livable, nice. They were working on it. And our bonus story of the week. Have you ever heard of a rail grinder train? Have you heard of one?
Yeah, I had, but I've never seen one.
Yeah,
this
I
was
caught
really
it.
neat.
Yeah, this is a rarity. I caught the whole train. You can see this train here. It's a certain kind of train that grinds the tracks. It sets out the uneven spots. Let's say they put in a new piece of rail. It's going to even all of that out. It makes sense. Of course, you're going to make the rails smooth. You're going to save money on gas. You're going to save money on energy. It's wear and tear on the different train parts. So this was going through Joplin the other night. People were like, oh my gosh, it's setting fires. So it does. It sets fires. But then at the end of the train,
They put it out.
They put out the fire. So
they
rail
called
grinder
before they saw the end.
Yeah, So everybody's like, oh my gosh, all the fires, but then they put it out already. So anyway, that's really interesting. You can check it out on our website. So
Yeah,
big
it's a pretty
3
cool
this
video.
week. Yep. I thought it was
catch
really
there.
cool. Yeah, thank you.
Well, if you don't mind sticking around, we'll keep you on our Fox show.
All right, I'll be here.
We'll be right back.
All right, time for some Friday birthdays in the 4 states. And we're going to begin in Oswego with Christian Stewart celebrating the big number 1. Happy birthday, Christian.
All right, Kennedy Wyrick turning 3 years old this year in Sebeka, Missouri with love from Mom, Dad, Aspen, Remy, Carson, Hallie, Nana, and Papa.
And we head over to Crestline for Riley Moore celebrating birthday number 12. A very happy birthday to you, Riley, with love from all your family.
Haley Smarto in Arma, turning 14 years old. Growing up there, girl. Haley is an 8th grader at Northeast Junior High.
And Sean Leroy over in Chanute celebrating birthday number 40. A very happy birthday to you, Sean.
All right, and Tyler Harrell. It's time for another Harrell birthday. 44 years old for Tyler in Pittsburgh.
And Daniel Blackford in Lamar celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday to you, Daniel.
Sue Drennan in Crestline. Happy birthday to you, Sue.
And Tim Crane over in Columbus celebrating
Woo!
birthday number 61 with one heck of a shot there. Tim, happy birthday.
That's a pretty cool shot. Let's see, Iona Phillips. Miss Iona is 80 years old this year. Looking great there, Iona in Liberal, Missouri.
And we've got Brent and Karen Jesse celebrating an anniversary in Crestline. A very happy anniversary to Brent and Karen.
Aw. And Mark and Katie Karhoff are celebrating their 16th anniversary. Karhoffs, congratulations to you.
And our party doesn't stop there. We've got Carmen Mishek, in Richards, Missouri, celebrating birthday number 80 with birthday wishes coming from your grandson, Skylar.
And Gail Gillard, happy birthday from all of the family.
Now, we've said it once, we've said it twice, we've said it 100 or more times. We love celebrating with you. Tanya, if they want to celebrate with us, how do they do that?
It's pretty simple. All they have to do is send us an email with their birthday picture and their name and all of the details to birthdayswithinus@KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, why not take time, head over to our website, check out everything that's on there, and most importantly, take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get special deals from local businesses, and you get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the Birthday Club today. All right, we're moving on to that forecast, and we are continuing our traffic alert for virtually the entire area this morning. This is the reminder as to why. These are MoDOT cameras around Joplin, 7th and Garden Grove, 20th and Range Line, 32nd and Range Line, and Range Line and I-44, and you can barely see anything out there. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. It's a little easier to see the intersection right there at 69 and 400, but you look around and you can see that dense fog. And here's a look at it on the fog tracker. Many locations, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Miami, for example, reporting 0 visibility. Others very close to that, so practically 0. And this is a large chunk of the area. We're talking I-49, 44, 69, 400, 160, 54. Any number of highways in our area impacted by this fog. So we want to give you the first safety tip reminders we've been giving to you all morning. If you've got fog beams, use them. If you don't, do not substitute with high beams. Do not use your high beams at all. That makes it worse for you and more dangerous for other drivers on the road as well. And we want to remind you to make sure you are prepared for your commute to take a little longer. Dense fog advisories for the counties in gray through 10 a.m. and that fog is going to stick around for a little bit. Once it clears, mostly cloudy, upper 50s. Cold front from the west starts to come in by this afternoon, 2 o'clock. Starting to get a few scattered showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms out there. These will increase in coverage as the evening progresses. Here we are by 7. Much more rainfall out there, much more needed rainfall out there. And this continues. Here we are, 10 o'clock. Still more showers, couple of thunderstorms. And as we go into the overnight, they start to wind down a bit. And by about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning Saturday, they will be out of here. Our camera, 7th and Range Line, you can kind of see that 7th and Range Line is down there. We're at 44 in Joplin, calm breeze, and as we've been mentioning, 0 visibility. Taking a look at temperatures, 40 Iola, Pittsburgh, 42 in Parsons, 47 Miami, 45 in Neosho. And as we get our morning started, we got that fog hanging on, dense fog through 8, 9 o'clock this morning. Mostly cloudy skies after that, temperatures into the upper 50s. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Kansas lawmakers have enacted what may be the most sweeping transgender bathroom law in the U.S. On Thursday, the Republican-controlled legislature overrode Governor Laura Kelly's veto of the measure. Kansas law applies also to locker rooms, prisons, domestic violence shelters, and rape crisis centers, as well as schools. The new law will take effect July 1st. On Wednesday, a judge in the Western District of Missouri sentenced Jeremy Hutchinson, a former Arkansas state senator, to 8 years in federal prison for accepting multiple bribes. Earlier this year, Hutchinson was sentenced to 3 years, 10 months in prison for bribery and filing a false tax return in the federal district courts of Arkansas. Well, some Crowder College students got to work on their graffiti skills as part of a school event. The students are putting together a graffiti project on the wall of the Elsie Plaster Community Center in Neosho. Officials say it lets students exercise their creativity while brightening up the community. On Thursday, McDonald County students helped combat hunger. Volunteers with Meals of Hope and McDonald County FFA students packed 25,000 meals for people in need. Students worked in assembly lines for 1-hour shifts before switching out. They were in charge of packing the meals, weighing them, measuring ingredients, and preparing them for delivery. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
As you head out the door, we've got that dense fog, so do be aware of that. Once it clears out, though, we'll be mostly cloudy and then showers. A few thunderstorms start to work into the area through the afternoon, evening, and overnight hours. We're looking a little warmer, too, mid to upper 60s today. As we go through the evening, showers, maybe a rumble of thunder persist with us, which is a good thing. As we've mentioned before, we really need that rain. Upper 40s for our overnight lows. As we look ahead, we've got a pretty decent Saturday. Rain ends about 3, 4 o'clock, mid 60s, lower 60s Sunday. A few more showers possible as we head into our Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures continuing to warm, though. We're back up to the mid 70s by Thursday with some additional thunderstorm chances.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making berry ugly pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Why does he give them such fascinating names?
I don't know. It's National Blueberry Pie Day, so
but berry ugly
I'm
pie.
assuming it has blueberries in it, but berry ugly.
I'm sure that it does. Ron says it does, so we're going to believe that it does. Well, don't forget to switch over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, of course, it wouldn't be Friday without Shannon Becker hitting the studio to bring us the big 3 news stories of the week. And he's coming back just in time in case you missed him in the first go-around. And we have encouraged him to bring his bowling shoes again.
All right, we like his bowling shoes.
We do.
Maybe next week.
They're very stylish.
Also, we've got a double shot of video game news for you, including a highly anticipated sequel to one of the most popular video games ever.
And we take a look back on the life and career of TV personality Jerry Springer, who passed away yesterday at the age of 79. Do you know that he was a news anchor for WLWT in Cincinnati? They actually posted a video of his final newscast where he said goodbye to everybody. It's kind of like Maury Povich. He was a news anchor at Fox 5 before it was Fox in D.C.
And then, yeah well, he was, wow, yeah.
Yeah, lots of interesting things.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back here on Monday morning at 5 a.m.
All right, and we're going to do it again today at noon.